So the brand identity piece, every year in April for 20-some years, the Chamber has done the Greater Madison Chamber of Commerce Business Expo and Small Business Conference. It's happened consistently. It looks like every other business expo for those of you who have been there. I'm not saying anything negative about the way it's been done. It's been a very successful program. It's got the burgundy carpet and the burgundy, curtains, and it's got the same kind of signage, and it's got the same businesses that exhibit, and it's been very successful. And we get lots of people saying I was able to make connections and I was able to do my business that I wanted to be done. But how do we create a brand around that identifies it as something more than what every single town has, at least every other metro region has? And this is last year's logo, and this is this year's logo. And the idea is to try to create a sense of something. And maybe the basic premise, which is to go and exhibit and make connections and learn something, all stays the same. But how we convey ourselves, how we identify with the community, and how the community identifies with us, is vital. And so we wanted to show something that showed energy and vibrancy, and something that distinguished us, and it created differentiation between us and those who do something very similar, even those who do that same thing in this market. But it's not just a logo, it's also part of the innovation attitude, is that we went one step further and looked at what are the groups that don't come to the expo. So many of the companies that you guys work with, you probably come to the expo. It's your traditional law firms, accounting firms, healthcare or health insurance providers, insurance companies, office supply companies. It's the usual business-to-business type expo groups. So the groups that don't come, as I started to think about it, are the new technology companies. They couldn't think of anything worse than spending their day inside the exposition center talking about what they do to people who aren't actually going to buy their product directly, or they don't think would buy their product directly. Some of the businesses that are led by people of color, so the Latino businesses, the black businesses, and the Hmong businesses in this town. Some of the buy local efforts they're just too small to be able to afford the traditional ability to exhibit. And as we thought about how do we incorporate those into showing a greater piece of the community, I said, let's create fully subsidized, sort of small areas where we can bring these organizations in. So this year, for the first time, we've got an area called Innovation Way, where I've handpicked 12 innovation companies, 12 technology companies that are going to showcase the amazing things that they work on. And for them, I sold it to them like, look, it kind of costs you almost nothing. You're going to come in, you're going to get fully skirted table, signage, free internet, and electricity, which free internet, by the way, I'm just going to totally divert from my presentation for a second. One of the things that always drives me crazy about going to conferences is that the internet always costs money. They always say it's like $19.95 for you to have the internet for the day. So when we went to the Alliant Energy Center, I said, I want the internet turned on. I said, no, we don't do that. And I remember once someone told me the fresh squeezed orange juice scenario. And so this is that you should, if you ever go to a hotel and you say, you want to test whether they're really committed, or a conference center, but whether they're really committed to you, is that you say, I need fresh squeezed orange juice every morning on every table. And almost always they'll say, well, we don't do fresh, we have a pasteurized, or a concentrated orange juice. But if you go to them and say, I have to have fresh squeezed orange juice, then if they say yes, we'll figure out a way, then you know you have a partner. If they say, I'm sorry, we don't do that, then you know you don't have a partner. So when I went to Alliant Energy Center and said, I want the internet turned on, and they said, we don't do that. And I said, I'm sure you can do it. How does it happen? And they said, well, it costs this much money. And I said, fine, we'll pay it, turn it on. So now we're going to light up the whole place, so there'll be free internet for all these companies and all the participants. But that was the foundation that created the innovation that I want people to see when they come in, is that now you'll come to the expo and you'll download an app to your iPhone or to your Android or to your Windows phone. And that app will be an app that's very targeted to what's going on at the expo. It'll have the day's events, the speakers, the different categories, the map of where everybody is. But it allows us to do really interesting and innovative things that showcase what's going on here as a community. There's a company called Mobile Igniter, who right now, if you want a high-quality app, you go to a company like BendyWorks right here on King Street, and for $25,000, they will do top-of-the-line, world-class app for your company. Most people can't afford $25,000. The Chamber can't afford $25,000. But Mobile Igniter has democratized a little bit the ability to get high-quality mobile apps, because they are pre-designing different plug-and-play pieces. So you can sort of take, I need this widget and that widget. And the end result is you have a unique product that's branded for you, but that they've, on the back end, largely designed the pieces that they know most people would want. So we went to Mobile Igniter, a local company, and said, we want you to design an app for us. The upside for them is it pushes them a little bit to program in ways that they haven't thought about, but it allows them to be showcased by us, have the programming done so as they think about how they expand, and to create a white paper, a case study for how their product can work for somebody like the Chamber. But also in that, there's another company in town called Snowshoe Stamp that has it's a block of aluminum, very low tech, has 5 different pieces of rubber randomly placed on it. And what it does is that when you hold it up to your cell phone, you touch your cell phone screen, every tablet and cell phone screen has the ability to identify 5 unique positions on the screen, so 5 fingers. And they've created an algorithm within their app that says if the 5 dots do exactly where they say they are, that they can identify exactly that you are where you say wherever that stamp is. So if you want to unlock your house, you could hold your phone up to the stamp. It would be able to tell the computer, unlock my house. If you wanted to do a loyalty program for your coffee shop or your restaurant, you could stamp your phone as you walked in. It would say, yes, Zach is that merchant. Merchant knows that. Merchant can then credit my account for having come and eaten there. And we're going to have them do, the passport programs. You go to every expo and you get a piece of paper and they stamp it. Thank you for coming to the booth. Well, now every booth that participates will have a stamp, a snowshoe stamp, here, made here in Madison, plugging into the technology made by Mobile Igniter right here in Madison. So our app, combined with their app, allows you to touch that screen. It verifies that you went to the booth. You're now inputted into the competition to win the iPad or the Surface Pro or whatever we're going to give away this year. And on top of that, the cost of each of those aluminum blocks was pretty expensive, particularly for a one-time use like an expo. So we went to Sector 67, which is like a hacker space, a maker space, where these guys have every piece of equipment you could possibly think of. Last Saturday, they had a lock-picking class. I don't know. Glass cutting, 3D printing, engineering, programming, all kinds of things you would just sort of think about. There's this group called Sector 67 that are doing that, and so we're going to have Sector 67 3D print all of these one-time use, so now that brings the cost down. So we created a whole new innovative atmosphere, showcasing Madison technology as a way to differentiate ourselves from all the other expos that are out there.